Just when you thought the camp storylines couldn't get any bigger, Micah Parsons drops a bombshell. Parsons issuing a statement that he's requesting a trade from the Dallas Cowboys today. Welcome into Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford, Nicole Hutchison alongside Kyle Youmans, and literally the biggest news of camp, Kyle. You know, you talk about Micah Parsons and the biggest talk throughout the media just about the contract talks and what hasn't happened, what has had so many reports. What's your thoughts on Micah's statement today?
Well, like you said, it's the biggest storyline on top of what was already the biggest storyline of training camp here in 2025. Micah Parsons releasing the statement on X. It's all about leverage in these negotiations and these contract talks between team and players and player personnel around those players as well, agents and team members on Micah's side as well. So a lot of that has come to light since we arrived here in training camp. There were some talks in the offseason, whether it be at OTAs, mini camps, even Micah showing up at mandatory mini camp. He shows up at training camp. He's showing that he wants to become a leader for this team. Well, one of the things he said in his statement on X was that he has done those leadership things. He's had the leadership qualities. He's been here in Oxnard through the entirety of training camp. But one thing he doesn't have is leverage. The team currently has him under contract for the 2025 season, $24 million on the book this season, and then he can be franchise tagged not only in 2026 but also in 2027. So the Dallas Cowboys do have Micah Parsons' rights in terms of NFL football until 2028, going into 2028. So there's a lot on the line for Micah Parsons in terms of leverage in negotiations and the back and forth that hasn't necessarily happened. Micah Parsons saying that his team has tried to reach out to the Cowboys. Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones reportedly have also had trouble going to Micah's party to look for an extension. So while this whole back and forth has happened, and even the request of the trade from Micah Parsons has happened, nothing necessarily changes. It's still a contract that is owned by the Dallas Cowboys, and it'll continue that way until they decide to make a decision.
Well, it also makes you wonder, I mean, do you think this was the right move for Micah Parsons, considering, I mean, the Dallas Cowboys have complete control over you for the next couple of years?
It's a bold move, and it's something to try and win back some of that leverage. That's the biggest thing right now for Micah Parsons, is that because his contract belongs to Dallas, because he was drafted by Dallas, and because he has played well throughout his seasons with the Dallas Cowboys since being taken at the 12th overall pick back in 2021, he needs to find a way to win some of that leverage back. And the reports started to surface on Thursday night. They have, of course, come to light on Micah's X platform on Friday morning. I mean, things are going to continue to fall into place with this negotiation and with this contract. It just depends on who's going to crack first one way or the other.
Well, while things still continue to unfold, we will still keep breaking it all down. Micah Parsons, again, issuing a trade for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll keep breaking it down. Patrick Walker will join the show up next.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
It was a headline no one expected to come so soon. All-Pro star pass rusher Micah Parsons officially requesting a trade from the Dallas Cowboys today. Nicole Hutchison, Kyle Youmans, joined by Patrick Nosey Walker, our very own DallasCowboys.com here on Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford. Now, Micah Parsons obviously saying a lot on X, but just issuing a statement that he does not want to be a Dallas Cowboy anymore. What do you make of those thoughts?
Well, you know, it's kind of exactly what Kyle said in the first segment. This is a leverage move, and to me, it directly harkens to what we saw with Myles Garrett and the Cleveland Browns just a few months ago this offseason, when Myles Garrett put out a formal trade request, and not long thereafter, he set the market when the Cleveland Browns woke up basically and gave him what he was asking for. I think this is likening to that, especially considering how close Miles and Micah are off of the field. But then there's this added context that I don't think a lot of people are considering when you talk about Micah's best friend on the team being Trayvon Diggs. There's a little bit of contention there between Trayvon Diggs and the organization as far as his rehab regimen this offseason, and Micah does not like what's going on in that capacity either. So it makes me wonder if contextually all of this kind of rolls into one ball.
Well, let me ask you this then, because fans are worried, and notably so. I mean, when an all-pro pass rusher turns around and requests a trade, it's going to be head storylines, and it's going to be a big thing. What's the realistic side of trading, Micah? What would it take for the Cowboys to give in to that request and to actually do it? Because it doesn't seem like it would be a super likely scenario.
Yeah, it's very, very unlikely, especially considering the Cowboys, when you factor in the fact that they can franchise tag him not once but twice, in addition to having control of him this year with the fifth-year option. That's 3 years of control. So to trade an all-world generational talent like Micah Parsons, knowing you have those 3 years of control, a team would have to stop short of nothing of giving up 3 of 4 planets in the solar system. I mean, that's what it's really going to take. We're not talking second-round picks, third-round picks, conditional anythings. We're talking mortgaging the future of your franchise, and that's the starter conversation to try to get Micah Parsons away from the Cowboys. Is it impossible? No. Unlikely? Extremely.
It brings me to my question is, Shadi is kind of building something special here, a unique culture, and, with the contract conversations going back and forth, not able to get a deal done with a guy like Micah Parsons, who is pretty much the face of this team as well, alongside Dak. I mean, what kind of message does that send to fans and to other people?
I feel like it's cyclical at this point. You mentioned Dak. Correct me if I'm wrong. Things got a little contentious in the Dak Prescott contract negotiations. Not
definitely
once,
did.
but twice. Okay. Were they not contentious with DeMarcus Lawrence, who at the time was the face of the defense?
Yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence went as far as weaponizing his shoulder injury to get his deal done. So again, things of this magnitude tend to happen in Dallas when you're talking about resetting the market or potentially resetting the market. Concern definitely justified from the fan base, but again, it's not anything that I've not seen before.
Well, the story will continue to unfold, I'm sure, as the days continue. But what does this now mean for the Dallas Cowboys? We're back breaking it down here on Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford.
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wrapping things up here on Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford. Nicole Hutchison alongside Kyle Youmans. And the biggest story, of course, for the day, Micah Parsons sending a clear message that he does not want to be a Dallas Cowboy. But what does this mean now, Kyle, for this team?
Well, you've seen him try and establish a leadership position with Brian Schottenheimer in this defensive staff. Of course, Matt Eberflus is going to have to game plan around maybe not having Micah early in the season. I still think it's going to work out. I think, like what Patrick said in the segment prior, I think there's going to come to, at some point, a meeting point between Micah and the front office here with the Cowboys. So when you piece all that together, I think he'll be on the field at some point. But right now, you have to adjust when it comes to training camp. The leadership that Micah has shown when working with guys like Donovan Ezra-Raku, that's no longer going to be there if he decides to leave Oxnard. When you turn around and you look at what he can bring from a meeting standpoint and a film standpoint and his experience on the field and on this defense and on a defense in the NFL as one of these all-pro edge rushers, not having him there will be a bit of a ripple effect, and there will be some level of drop-off there from the Cowboys. But I think when it's all said and done, and it gets down to the nitty-gritty, I think he'll be back with the Cowboys at some point. It just depends on what that's going to look like and when it starts to come around.
Well, that's the beauty of what we've seen so far through camp is leaders like Osa Odigizua. We've seen Dante Fowler also, who they brought back.
Solomon Thomas on a first-year deal.
Yeah, you have so many good leaders on that defensive line. Hopefully they can continue that leadership that they were hoping Micah Parsons would bring. But we will keep you updated here on Inside Cowboys Training Camp as the story continues to unfold.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.